Hey team, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to look at our Finding Marley search. Now it really got going for us on day 3, which was day 5 of Marley being missing, but I just want to paint you the picture first. So let's have a look at Finding Marley. So Marley went missing from a small village in Blandford in Dorset called the Western. He went out of the house, we believe, when the bins went out. He snuck out. He then tracked down and came out this track and into these open fields. From here, we believe he travelled up here under the gate. Now, the next sighting of Marley was along this track, and there's a gate just here, and a motorist saw Marley sat at this gate before he disappeared underneath and then into these are big valleys. You can't tell, but they are big valleys. Later on, in fact it was the next day, which was a Friday night, there was a sighting again of Marley around here. So we were called to come in and search the area, and we did so on Saturday morning. Our plan was to search all the fields, both sides of the road, right the way down back to the house. So as I mentioned, our search really gets going on day 3, and this is only day 1. I just want to give you a little insight into what the landscape looked like below and what we did. So this was one of many flights we did on the day, searching the immediate area around the last sighting. So nothing was seen throughout all of our flights. However, there was more information to follow, which meant we came back the very next day.
Hey team, I'm just going to jump in really quickly to let you know about our brand new Inner Circle membership called the Overwatch. It allows you to come on the ground with us on every single search. You'll see photos and videos and maps that no one else is going to see. You'll get the chance to ask us questions and talk with us. Not only that, every single penny from every single membership goes through to funding all the searches that we do. So by being part of our membership, you are helping us reunite more lost dogs with their owners. If that sounds something you will be interested in and you want to help, please click the link in the description to find out more and become a member. I cannot wait to see you in there.
So the information we now receive is the sighting was here, as we were told previously. However, we now know that Marley, once he got a little bit spooked, ran down this track here, which is the first that we had heard. We also had spoken to a farmer who said at the time he was stood right here with his dog, and at no point did a dog, Marley, ever run past him. He said it was a bit darker in the evening, but he would have heard him and he didn't, and the dog didn't make any reaction, which means there was only one way Marley could have gone, and that was down this track. So we knew the next day these fields here were definitely areas of interest, and this barn here was also a huge area of interest too. So you can see the track that Marley had travelled down at some point and the edge of the woods. Now, we did a thorough search of this barn. You're obviously seeing it in visible camera, but we actually used the thermal camera to make sure we didn't miss anything. The top left, or now in the middle, that black building, that was a hay barn. Again, searched and nothing in there. So after a thorough look in and around the barn, Marley wasn't there. But day 3, things get interesting. So on day 4, the evening of day 4 of Marley being missing, there was another sighting, and this time it was again in the same area, but the way Marley bolted was through a hedge here and in and across this field before they lost sight of him. So we knew really that when Marley was anxious or scared or looking to bolt somewhere, he would bolt in this direction, which ties in with the track that he'd been using before. So the only way out of this field here is out here again, which leads to the barn or the woods. So we knew on day 3 for us that these woods may play a vital part of the search. So we went to check them on foot. As expected, the woods were hugely vast with lots and lots of great areas for Marley to hide, so we knew that we weren't going to find him on foot. So we set up a feeding station close to the woods, and we were going to leave about half an hour, and we we're going to take the drone up for one final flight before seeing how successful the feeding station would be. At this point we thought we'd leave and just let everything calm down before we flew the drone. At this point I got to shout out the white horse that allowed us to charge our drone and looked after us while we were on the search. And minutes after leaving the pub, things became very exciting. We got a call that there'd been a sighting. Here's where the barn is. The sighting was roughly here with Marley running down the track, and about here there are gates that go either way. Marley disappeared. Now, we didn't know if he went left or right, but what we did know is we could get here very, very quickly, and that's what we did, and we deployed the drone. So as we said, we weren't entirely sure which gate he had gone through, so that meant that we had to scan both fields, which we were able to do because the thermal allows us to do that quite quickly. We then spotted a heat source after about 10 minutes of flying in a hedge line. So we flipped it to the visible camera and we zoomed in to confirm what we were looking at, and we were overjoyed to see Marley asleep in the hedge. We knew that Marley was aware that we were around. He could possibly just about hear the drone, or he could hear footsteps because we weren't that far away. So we knew that we had to try and get the owner out to him fast. However, we had to be careful because we weren't sure whether Marley was going to bolt or whether he would run to the owner because he'd been missing for so many days. The other problem we had was Lauren, who was the owner, was coming from an elevated position through longer grass and actually couldn't see Marley in the hedgerow. So we were on the phone to her, directing her using the thermal camera towards Marley. Unfortunately, she saw Marley, but she was too close at the time. Marley didn't have a chance to recognise her, and he took flight. So we did our absolute very best to keep an eye on him, to make sure that if he did then go back down to ground along the hedge line, we could direct Lauren to that location. Marley did stop just briefly at this gate. He was assessing to see whether he could get under it or through it into the next field. As soon as he knew that he couldn't, he then turned and bolted again. We did try and locate Marley one more time. We flew the field, but we strongly believe he probably disappeared into that tree line. So we knew there wasn't a lot more we could do today, and we put some plans in place that we were going to carry out the following day. So we are now on day 6, and we are heading up to set some feeding stations up that will be monitored by a camera so we can start to get an idea of Marley's movements. However, on the way up, we receive a phone call from one of the owners to say there's been another sighting in the field that's now being shown. As you can see, it's not very far away at all from where we saw him yesterday. So after a quick phone call to the owners, they've gone out to the field to see if they can have any success again in trying to bring Marley back in. However, before we got there, we got the fantastic news that Marley had run up to the owner and was once again back home safe where he belonged. What a roller coaster that was.
Team, thank you so much for watching our video. Hope you got lots from it. Now remember, if you want to join our inner circle, not only will you get live updates that no one else is going to see, but you're also going to help fund every single search, meaning we can reunite more lost dogs with their owners. Guys, thanks very much. Don't go anywhere. I'll either see you in our inner circle or check out one of these 2 videos.